So our next speakers are Vanessa Pash and Michael Cassady from the County of San Diego, our Planning and Development Services.
So hi, I'm Vanessa. I am a planner at the County of San Diego. I work in zoning alongside Mike, who is our senior civil engineer. So today I wanted to go over some of the county regulations, and this is for the unincorporated area of San Diego. And before I start, I just wanted to say that I urge all of you guys to stop into our office at 5510 Overland Avenue. We have over 50 counters of planners, engineers, electrical, mechanical engineers who can give you free advice. So before you invest in anything, stop by, ask us questions, and we'll be able to answer anything. So today we're going to go over some of our county regulations, ADU regulations in the County of San Diego. We will go over our permitting overview, pre-approved building plans, JADUs, and multifamily ADU regulations. So some of the ADU regulations in the unincorporated area of San Diego, yes, you can have a new attached ADU to a house that's an existing primary residence, no bigger than 50% of the size of the living space of the primary residence. So if your house is 1,200 square feet, you're only going to include the living space of that, not the attached garage, the attached patio, attached deck. It's 50% the size of the living size of that house. If you're building a new ADU, you can build up to 1,200 square feet independent of the size of the existing residence. The existing parcel cannot have a existing guest living quarters or an existing accessory apartments. So it has to have only the single family residence as the only primary use, unless it's multifamily, but we'll get into that later. You cannot sell off, so no separate sale or ownership of an ADU is allowed, and it cannot be rented for a period of less than 30 days. As you know, the County of San Diego doesn't allow for short-term rentals. And then, of course, you also need to make sure that you are meeting all of the building codes, fire requirements, so you will want to check with your local fire district. If you're on septic, you'll want to check with our Department of Environmental Health to see what these septic regulations are. If you're on a well, there will be, you'll need to comply with also their regulations and policies. You are also going to make sure you have to meet the front and exterior side yard setbacks. That means if your lot is, the exterior side yard setbacks kind of can get a little confusing. If you're on a corner lot, so when two roads meet, you'll need to meet both of those front and exterior side yard setbacks. You only need to be 4 feet from the rear and side, and only one parking space is required for a ADU unless you're within a half mile of public transportation. And if you're doing a garage conversion, you do not need to have replacement parking. So again, these are the requirements that I already went over. I will turn it over to Mike, who will go over some permitting regulations.
So some of this will be overlapping what's been discussed already, but so the permitting overview, obviously it can be a daunting task. Most of the people we see will hire consultants, designers, architects, engineers to process building permits. But if you're a do-it-yourselfer, or you want to try to save some of your cost, or just want to kind of be educated in the process, I mean, we do see those types as well. So this is kind of just like the quick rundown of the permitting process. So again, we're the County of San Diego, so we represent the unincorporated areas of the county. So this would be like Lakeside, Jamul, Ramona, Fallbrook, Spring Valley, all those types of unincorporated neighborhoods. And one thing you'll notice for everyone, that every building department has the same, we have the same codes, but sometimes there's differences on the process or how those codes are interpreted. And in some cases, there's local amendments that are more stringent than the building codes. And like Vanessa said, any point along the process, if you need help, we have people come in all the time just with general questions, or maybe they have plans that they've started. We're here to help. So definitely reach out to us any point along the process when you're kind of like, what's next? What am I doing? It's not to replace your consultant. There's professional help available. We're not replacing that, but we're certainly should be guiding you along the way and not, getting in your way. So one of the first components is plan checking. This is where you're putting your plans together and you're going through different reviewers. Vanessa, for example, is a planner, so she's looking for these setbacks and height of buildings, things like that. You're also going through a building code review, so we're checking if the structure is safe. Does it meet current codes? Is it energy efficient? Those types of things. One nice thing about plan review, I'll kind of mention this a couple of times, but regardless of the type of accessory dwelling unit, it's kind of has this expedited plan review, kind of get pushed to the top of the list, so to speak. So the back and forth that Jared mentioned, it'll happen faster for you doing an accessory dwelling unit. The fire review that Vanessa mentioned as well. So they're looking at our fire sprinklers are going to be required. And with the county, there's a lot of local fire districts that we deal with. So particularly with attached ADUs, we encourage you to consult with your local fire department, not the guys fighting the fire agency, to determine if you're going to need fire sprinklers. A lot of times that's an added cost. Again, it was mentioned the site work. Every plan is a little bit different. There may be grading that's involved that you have to do. Get access to the ADU or to set a flat pad on the area. So that's specific to your area. There's connecting to municipal sewer or a septic system. You have to consider that. There's stormwater. That's a big thing being pushed by the state, is stormwater, protecting in a rain event. Water goes to your neighbor, making sure that during construction and after construction, like the water is being handled appropriately. There's fees that are collected. There's different outside agencies that, as a building department, that we require the sign off. So these would be fees outside the county, but they have a right to collect fees for their infrastructure, for like schools and water districts. And then there's impact fees that the county what is responsible for collecting. So this includes, for county maintained roads, parks, there it goes again. And then also local, and depending on the area, storm drainage. So those impact fees based on development. And then once, so there's kind of like this plan check process and, all these fees that are being collected. Then you finally have your building permit, and you have your permit issued, and you can do this. A lot of people are hiring a contractor. Some people want to be owner builder. So there's different considerations to be had for being an owner builder. One of them being like workers' comp coverage if you have employees. And then kind of the last step of the permitting process is building inspection, where you have a county inspector doing intermediate inspections at different phases of the construction. They're not there necessarily to watch it as you're doing it, but they're there at kind of these milestones of construction. And they're checking, checking against the code for structural, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and then also some of that site work. And then once you have your final inspection, that's also you're in the clear. You can occupy the building, the ADU, and kind of the finish line there. So just kind of briefly, here's an example of some of the fees that are associated in the permit process. So again, impact fees, these are the traffic, park, drainage fees, the agency fees that are outside of what the jurisdiction would collect for sewer, school, water, and fire. And then kind of with each building department, there's the permit fees. And so just as a sample of some of the fees that the county collects related to the impact fees and the permit fees, you can see here that the cost really does kind of get up there just for, this plan check process, this permitting, and some of these impact fees. And so the nice thing about a lot of these fees is that, as has been said, that they're currently being waived at this time. So that is estimated to save about $15,000, give or take, depending on your area. And so this is for all new ADUs with an existing single-family dwelling, and it is in a trial period. It might be extended. This is at the discretion or at the direction of the Board of Supervisors. And one thing to mention, that this does not include those outside agencies like school districts and water districts. They have their own process, and we just kind of get their clearance. So in addition to waiving some of the fees associated with these ADUs, we've also been directed to prepare plans. And the reason for these plans, it's not like, use our plans or you don't get, the fees waived. It's a tool to help you in certain circumstances. So we have a range of sizes. We have 6 plans. And one thing to point out, the plans are not complete. They still need some site-specific design for grading, stormwater, energy compliance, and then the roof framing. There's also other permits that may be required. If you're on a septic system, you'll need a septic permit. And the use of these plans, they can be downloaded off our website, both in a PDF format or also in a CAD format. So you may not have that program, but they can be modified however you see fit. The idea is that you can either take it as it is or modify it for your own needs, or you can use this as a guide. If you do have a design consultant, maybe they're not familiar with work in the County of San Diego, they can use this as kind of like a design template. We also have, specific for our plans, a checklist trying to walk you through the steps, and then we also have a guidance form that goes into more details. And again, these plans aren't complete, but again, use them as is, modify them, or use them as a sample for your own design. And regardless if you use our plan or a variation of our plans, our direction right now is that all ADU plans, even your custom ones, have that expedited review, and that fee waiver applies to ADUs with the existing single family dwelling, not just our plans. So.
Okay, so I know this was already mentioned earlier, but I'll just go over quickly. Junior ADU, yes, it can be attached to the primary residence. I know that it was said that it could be an existing house. However, the County of San Diego is working on a director's determination to allow applicants to add 500 square feet and have that as a proposed JADU. So it doesn't necessarily need to be in an existing room of the house or a garage. It can be a proposed addition of 500 square feet. And then of course its maximum allowable size is 500. And there must be interior communication and exterior communication to the house. And what I mean by that is just a door that allows you to go enter and exit from the outside as well as through the inside of the house. And owner occupancy is required, as mentioned before, and there's no parking requirements for the JADU. So you can have the ADU and the JADU. And so here's just an example of, you need to have the efficiency kitchen, your bedroom, a living space. Okay, moving on to the multifamily. So for the I apologize for the picture. This wasn't an updated slide. But for multifamily, you can have up to 25% of the ADUs on a multifamily complex. So for example, if you have a apartment complex with 10 units on there, you can have potentially up to 4 ADUs within the complex, as long as you're using space that's basements, garages, boiler rooms. Those areas could be converted into potentially 25% of ADUs, as well as you could have up to 2 detached ADUs could potentially be permitted as long as they meet the 4-foot setbacks and the height limits of the existing designator. Also, multifamily is now defined in the state as 2 units or more. So I know previously it used to be 3 or more units. That's what the zoning ordinance says. We're going to comply with the state regulations. And if you have 2 or more units, it's considered multifamily. And that is it. Feel free to take a picture of this if you have any questions or if you want to leave a voicemail message.